missing someone. Love with all your heart. Missing someone. Love with heart.
What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. So this week's episode I have a client who found me on YouTube, and she found me by searching up like gray blending videos, and what she's been wanting is something that is just going to kind of enhance her natural gray. You can see she has beautiful gray pattern here and some old previous highlights on the very tips of her hair, but overall she wants to be a lot lighter and a little bit more of a solid silver tone rather than this like grayish mid-tone. So what we're going to do is I'm going to be doing a very heavy highlighted balayage blending look for her to get her nice and bright. Alrighty, so for this application, I'm going to be starting in the back nape area here, and you can see I did a pretty textural weave in the nape right around her hairline, and I decided to do more of a weave here so that it kind of blends. I don't necessarily love to do slices right at the hairline in the back because I find that it looks a little too chunky sometimes and gives a really harsh grout. So then after that I did do slices, and then for the rest of her head, everything else that is other than the hairline around her perimeter, I will be slicing. So I did a slice right after my detailed weave, and now I'm going in and doing like the center parting that I normally do, and just going to be slicing that. And you can see here in the back she does have a little bit more depth right in this back area, so I am keeping my slices pretty close together because again she showed me a goal photo that the color looked fairly solid, and by solid I mean like she looked pretty platinum in the goal photo. So essentially today we want to get her as platinum as possible. And then the other thing is her goal also looked super solid, so I did let her know that with my technique, the way that I do hair color on majority of my clients and how I was going to approach her hair color was that I was going to eventually get her hair solid. Today she is going to feel a lot lighter, but I like to do it in session so that it stays nice and soft and blended when it grows out. And the products that I'm using are the products that I use on majority of my clients, which is the Blonde Me Schwarzkopf Lightener, and I do a first bowl of 6 and 20 volume, and then the rest I'm just going to be doing 20 volume. And typically that first bowl of 6 and 20 volume kind of just gets me through the back area where the hairs are a bit finer, and then for the rest of the head I generally just like to use 20 volume. Because I feel that 20 volume gives me a really good lift with this lightener, and I don't really need anything more powerful, but I do like using 20 because I feel like sometimes 10 and 15 volume can take a little too long for me, and the hair still feels good when using at 20 vol. So since she parts pretty off to the side, I did ask her if she ever flips her hair, if it's in the middle. She said she was pretty sure that she was always going to part it on the side there. So my center parting is a little bit shifted to the side that she parts on so that I can get that part nice and even. And then as I'm doing this top mohawk section, I did do my slices even closer together. So now that I'm doing the money piece here, I will be slicing these pretty close together with no negative space in between. This is going to give the illusion that the front is solid, even though the rest is pretty much sliced with a bit of dimension. So it's going to give the appearance that the front is lighter than the back. And of course, I always ask my clients like if they would like that, and I normally ask them if they want the front to be lighter or bolder, and if they're not sure what I mean, I will show them a picture of what I mean, or have them start googling photos of money pieces and then trying to figure out how thick they would want it. But she kind of just trusted whatever I felt would look good with her gray pattern and what we were doing. So I just chose to do a really solid money piece here. So I'm pretty much just like slicing. I believe I did about 3, and then now going back to slicing with some negative space in between. But again, the negative space on the very top mohawk is very thin. Like, I would say that there's more blonde than there is negative space on the top, and that's because essentially we want her to feel super blonde, super solid. And I am taking sections that are very thin, see-through, so that I get a really clean, even lift. So lately I feel like I've been getting a ton of corrections or like gray blending transformations like these, and I feel like a lot of them have been coming from YouTube, which I am incredibly grateful for, that I have this platform that I'm able to connect with new clients from pretty much all over and do these type of natural hair transformations. And it's really rewarding because these type of clients particularly, it literally means the world to them to be able to embrace their gray and take this big step to doing something that might be a little out of their comfort zone or just something that they never even tried before. And I have just felt so much happiness by doing these type of transformations. Like, I don't know how to explain it, guys. It's been really fun, and each transformation like this, even though I could be doing something super similar than I did in my last videos, each one is always a little bit different as far as placement and formulation and everything like that. So that is why I like to share almost all of the transformations like these, even though they can be a bit similar. I would say that there's always going to be something a little bit different in each one because every client has different hair, and I do approach it slightly differently, and I like to share what the differences are if you do tend to watch my other videos. So real quick, guys, as I did the sides, I did about 2 slices on the side, and then now I'm going and just connecting the front and the back with one side section and leaving some negative space, just like how I did in the mohawk section. It's pretty straightforward and simple, and I do one side and then finish it and then complete the other side. And I'm able to pretty much get through this technique fairly quickly. But after this, since she does have some previous highlights on the ends, she was feeling like they weren't bright enough, and I totally agreed that they could use a little bit of lift. So right now I'm going in and separating the hair in between my foils to kind of tip out those ends. And separating the hair in between the foils like this is a really good technique to do when doing long foils and using this specific lightener, because sometimes this lightener, if you saturate a lot, it can kind of seep through the edges, so it kind of helps to separate the hair so that you don't get any like random bleed spots. And then the other thing is it makes it really easy for me to tip out the hair and makes to create like clean sections to be able to tip it out. So as I'm doing my tip outs right now, you can see I'm pretty much just painting over where I see the highlights, and I'm just saturating the ends and then brushing up to kind of blend the top of the lightener a little bit into her natural. And this is just kind of gonna bump the highlights that are on her ends to kind of get it to that level 10 that we need to match the rest. So this is what her hair looked like when I felt like her foils were ready and pretty much a level 10. And I'm going in and just kind of marrying the ends together, because since she did have highlights on some of the ends, I didn't saturate all throughout the ends if I did find that there were some highlights there. But the other great thing about doing the tip out is that you're already kind of separating the hair that's not highlighted. So all of the hair that's not highlighted is separate, and as I'm pulling out the foils, I can just mush all the highlights together and let that sit for a bit, and so it just makes it a lot easier to kind of process the highlights and the tip outs separately when you separate it while it's in foils first. Alrighty guys, so I am now going to be toning her, and there were a few things that I kind of did differently with her toner than I have done in the past with my other silver transformations, and I wanted to share with you guys what I learned a little bit differently with this transformation, which was, so for the root I pretty much did the same thing. I'm doing a liquid demi, and I created a 7-1, which is going to be a level 7 ash, and this ash is more on the blue side. So it's going to give it kind of like a grayish tone at a level 7, and I apply it everywhere, leaving out the hairline. And so now I'm going in with the rapid toner, and this is kind of where I did something a little bit different on her hair, because in the past I normally love using the combo of the Pulp Bright rapid toners of the Silver Violet Moonstone. But what I was finding is that clients who are naturally this gray, they lift so beautiful and not as yellow as a client who is naturally a level 3 without any gray. And in the past, I had been formulating all of my silvers very similarly using the Violet Silver Moonstone, and in the past few toning sessions that I've done on a few clients, when using that formulation, it kind of came out a little too pinky. So this time on this client, since she had majority silver and gray, her lift was very beautiful. It wasn't as yellow as it would for someone who's naturally a darker level without any gray. So I took out the violet in the rapid toner formulation, and I pretty much just did a mixture of silver and moonstone to create a very beautiful like silvery platinum color. And so once this was done with the application, I left it on probably just for like a minute or two. It toned really quickly, and then I washed it fully out. Alrighty guys, so here is the finished look. We were so obsessed with the way that this looked on her. She absolutely loved the tone, and I was really happy that I tried something a little bit different on her because it came out absolutely perfect. After the whole lightening session, her hair still felt amazing. I told her she didn't really need a haircut from me because it still felt really fine, and she already loved the haircut that she already had, so we told her that it would be fine for her to skip out on that and just follow up with some hair care and treatments that I recommended her to do at home to kind of keep the brightness of the color and to keep the health of her hair. Alrighty guys, so that is it for this week's episode. Thank you guys so much for watching and tuning in, and as always, I will talk to you guys next week.